Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's seminar, the ASFI seminar series. My name is Bright One always. So I welcome you. And as you know, today is very, very expectantly interesting seminar. And I think every one of us will learn something from here. We have a number of people here now, and then we just have to go straight and start so that we can maximize our time very well. We have our guest speaker. I will come back later and to introduce her, but yeah, she's a colleague of mine, and I'm really happy that Lina can come here today to share her experiences. So as usual, I will make introduction, and then we will kick started. Okay. Please for everyone, and I know that some of you are joining us for the first time. I will encourage you use the chat box to give a brief about yourself. Just tell us your name, where you're coming from. Yeah. This seminar series we have this year are quite important because they delve into the issue of collaboration. And what happens is that many people actually get collaborators from here, from this platform. So please introduce yourself, even your research field. You never know who is here and wants to connect. So we are looking at research collaboration from a North-South perspective, personal reflections. And those who have been following us since the beginning of the year, we promise that from July, we'll be inviting colleagues to share their experiences with us. And this is the second of that. The first we had last month, which we have personal reflection on a Pan-African collaboration initiative. All right, so today Lina will be sharing her experiences when it comes to the North-South. So North-South referring to going from Northern Europe and of course to Southern Africa. Our theme for this year remains from collaboration to impact, from collaboration to impact. Lina will tell us a lot about this, how collaboration is really giving her some edge in her career. So collaboration to impact is our theme for this year. Since 2021, we have had this seminar series. What we are doing this year is a bit different from what we have done in previous years. So this year, we wanted to make it participatory for everyone, all right? For everyone. So that is why we have so much lofty objectives. We wanted you not just to listen to the speakers, but to be part of it. And so we have gone ahead to create what we call the collaborative research groups, right? And these are groups of the seminar participants who are interested to establish collaboration. Okay, so we put you together, and we did that from January. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're coming today as your first time. You can join any group. So, but we formed these groups in January, and the idea is, let's see how you can grow in your collaboration. Okay, we put it together. Start your collaboration. Okay, and we want to evaluate how the groups have gone. We gave you no agenda, we gave you no research topic. We just wanted you collaborate. Okay, so you have to figure it out yourself. But anyway, from January to June, the seminar centered on some fundamental issues around collaboration, how to build it, how to nurture it, the things you need to look out for, the challenges there, how to navigate. And we are really proud to see that these collaborative research groups are moving on. I have seen at least one group that has submitted a paper for publication, a perspective paper of what they have been able to do from January until now. And that is really encouraging. I don't know how your group is doing, but we want to still encourage you. There is still time for you to get back to the drawing board and figure things out and make this a fruitful journey for you and for your group. So at the end of every speaker, each seminar will send you out to go out there and send you out to your breakout rooms to discuss and have updates on where you are. So please maximize this, because it's not enough to hear what the speakers say, their own experiences. It is also important that you can put into practice the things we hearing. All right. The task of the collaborative research groups are evaluated. So we, as you see, we send you bi-monthly evaluation surveys. We have collected in April, we have collected in June. We'll be collecting at the end of this month as well. Okay, we'll be sending you to fill in the journey you have had between July and August. The goal ultimately is for you to build and nurture a fruitful multidisciplinary collaborative team throughout the year. Each team will be evaluated at the end of the year and see where you are. All right. So so far, as you know, our annual conference is in November. So we have not yet fixed whether we'll have the seminar series in November. We'll come back to that. But we are really fortunate to secure the speakers who agreed to, yes, come and share their experiences with us. We have had Prof. Willie in July. Today we are listening to Dr. Lina Bergman. And next month, we're going to be listening to Prof. Mahmoud Maina. And in October, Prof. Olubukola Babalola. I'm sure many of you may know some of these, especially those from Africa who are really making impact. So it would be good really to hear the experience. And today we'll have Lina to share her experience as well. Okay, so I will give a brief background about Lina. I have to say that she's my colleague. She's my colleague. And just to let you know, I invited her on a personal note. If I remember clearly, it was in April, I think. Lina and I met. We have been colleagues in a center called the Wallenberg Center here at the University of Gothenburg. We are there, but we rarely meet because people work in different places in the city. So, but we are invited. The center was making a documentary, so we're invited into the studio to make this documentary. So they were videoing us, asking us various questions. And yeah, Lina and I were there answering. So you got a point. They said, okay, we want to take you out, we want to be in a natural, discuss science, talk, walk and talk. You can bring any topic and talk about it. So Lina and I had to figure out what we'll be talking about. And yeah, ASFI came to my mind, and I started telling her about ASFI. She was quite interested in this. I said, well, you have been working between Sweden and South Africa. We have a very nice team this year working on collaboration. Would you be interested in coming to share your experience with us? She said, yeah, I would do that. And so that was how we connected. But who is she? She's a senior obstetrician and associate professor at the University of Gothenburg here in Sweden and Stellenbosch University in South Africa. She did her specialist training from 2011 to 2017 and earned her PhD in 2017 at Uppsala University. Uppsala University is one of the universities here in Sweden. And her focus area is in preeclampsia and cerebral biomarkers. During her PhD, she spent a year in Cape Town, where she initiated a biobank and database for preeclampsia, together with Professor Catherine Glover. She divides her time between her two research sites at Stellenbosch, University in South Africa, the University of Gothenburg here in Sweden. He focuses on a translational approach to understand underlying causes to complications in preeclampsia. Our research also focuses on prediction of preeclampsia and its complications and discovery of novel treatment to prevent and treat it. She's the principal investigator for the multi-center clinical trial PI1 using metformin to slower disease progress in preterm preeclampsia. She's also an investigator for the biobanks PROVE in South Africa and GoPROVE here in Sweden, and the clinical cohort for first trimester prediction of pregnancy complications, which is called the IMPACT study. She also collaborates on register-based research in the Swedish Pregnancy Register and runs a preclinical preeclampsia research group in Sweden, establishing animal models for preeclampsia and eclampsia to evaluate new disease-modifying drugs. Our research is funded largely by the Wallenberg Foundation, the European Research Council, and the Swedish Research Council. She supervises 7 PhD students and co-supervises currently 5 others. Is active in the National Swedish Preeclampsia Working Group. He has served on several scientific committees and is an active member of CoLab for international collaboration in preeclampsia research. Lina reviews for several journals and is a frequent speaker at national and international conferences. And colleagues, as you can see on the screen, those who know about the European Research Council, Lina currently holds the ERC starting grant. This starting grant is very important when you get the ERC grant. I have a PhD student who finished with me last year. She's at the Karolinska Institute doing her postdoc. So she contacted me last week and she said, Bright, I would like to speak with you because I would like to apply for some grant. I need some counsel. All right. So she shared her screen and then she listed the grants, the foundations or the research council she has identified, and there she had the ROC, she has Swedish Research Council. And then I said, okay, what ideas do you have? And then I said, well, I would like you to strike out EROC, please, because you are not there yet. Okay. Research and career building blocks, right? There are certain things that are very motivating, fascinating, but they are building blocks that you need to have the intelligence of how they work. When you have intelligence, and then you can prepare. So that's my way of saying that for Lina to get ERC grant, it's a grant that It's one in many thousands, and that showcases the importance of her work. So it's a privilege, Lina, to have you this evening. The floor is yours. After her speech, there will be time to ask questions. So we prefer, if you have questions, you can start already putting them on the chat box. We prioritize those due to our time, but if we have time to allow people to speak out, we'll do that. But please, as she speaks, I know you will have questions, just write them down and we'll pick them up and then we'll give it to Lina when she finishes. Lina, please.
Thank you so much, Bright, and thank you for this wonderful introduction. I don't think I've ever heard anybody speaking for such a long time about myself, so that was very kind of you, and I'm very honored to be invited. I understand this is a big group. These are also very clever people trying to come together and work together and build research careers together. So I find that extremely inspiring. And I hope that my talk today will give you some more inspiration from my side. It's a purely inspirational talk, so no facts, no p-values, no results, just sort of a little bit of a story about myself, how I started and where I am today, and a little bit on what happened along the way. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. All right, can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
Perfect, thank you. So Bright has already introduced me, so I think I'll just skip briefly through this slide. I'm working at the Wallenberg Center for Molecular and Translational Medicine, just like Bright, in Gothenburg, and also leading the preeclampsia research group together with Professor Catherine Kluber at the Stellenbosch University in South Africa and at University of Gothenburg in Sweden. So I'm actually triple affiliated. So I have one affiliation to Gothenburg University and one to Stellenbosch, where I associate professor at both these universities. And I actually also kept an affiliation to Uppsala University, where I do some work still with my research group there, where I was a doctoral student. So I wanted to center my talk around these 5 pillars that I think are quite important when you start off like I did, quite alone and no really own research group or anything like that. When I sit and think about what has occurred along the way, I think that it was, at least for me, extremely important to have a vision, to have somewhere to look forward to in the future. Why do I do this? Where do I want to be in the future? Why do I do this research? Also to find the motivations. I think if you have a vision, you can also find the motivation to push for it. Another aspect that I think is quite important if you want to become a research leader is independence. To have the guts and the courage to go your way. If you believe in a research track, that nobody else is interested in for the moment, it's usually because it's quite unexplored. It's quite easy to go the same path as anybody else, and research diseases or medications that are already well researched because that's well known to others, and maybe in the beginning it's easier to get funded as well. Resilience is another thing, especially if you use a research track that is a little bit unexplored, because you will be disappointed. And I think usually, like when Bright introduced me, you say she has gotten this and that, but for every grant, there is at least 10 rejections. So being a researcher is being disappointed for many days of the week, and that's very normal. And I just think never to give up. And usually when grants are reviewed, there might be reviewers there who are just not on the same page as you and your research. And then the last part here is about support. And I think it is important. And it is important to find people around you that genuinely believe in you and your research and you feel want the best for you. So I will come back to these 5 different pillars during the talk. So the first one, motivation. So I started off here. This is a house on the countryside. It's not in Gothenburg. I studied up north in Sweden, and I found my husband there, who's from this region. And this region is called Dalarna. It's in the middle of Sweden, and usually it's quite hard to move people who are from there because they like it very much. So we moved there for our internship after med school was finished, and bought this beautiful house outside, like 5-6 kilometers outside of a regional hospital. So I worked in a smaller hospital. And Dalarna is situated here, sort of we say in the middle of the country, but Sweden is very tall, so it's actually still in the south, but most people live south of Dalarna. Here's the capital, and here's Gothenburg, where I'm from and where Bright lives. I'm sure he probably showed you this picture before. So I started off here as a first intern, and then specialization in obstetrics and gynecology, and started my PhD studies. And I did my PhD studies in Uppsala, like Bright mentioned, where I also defended my thesis. In the way came twins. So here I am, I think a few weeks before I gave birth in the garden. I, of course, also had preeclampsia, which sort of motivated me even more to do my own research. But the pregnancy resulted in these two girls, came at 36 weeks and a few days. And then when they came around and we lived here in this beautiful house, I wanted to do something more with my research. And I already knew then that I wanted to continue with my research. My PhD was about cerebral biomarkers in preeclampsia. And we didn't really have that sick of a population in Sweden. It sounds like a luxury problem, but it's also the treatment paradox that you can't really study the outcome that you're interested in. So we took the decision to go to Cape Town for a year. So the first time we went to Cape Town in South Africa, it wasn't really purely for research. It was mostly to spend a year working clinically, me as an obstetrician and my husband as a cardiologist. So we took the plane down to South Africa in August 2016. This is my husband, a little bit more gray here nowadays, and these are my two girls. So they were 3 back then when we flew, and we were walking constantly back and forth in the aisle because they thought we were going to land amongst the lions, because that's what their teacher told them. So it was a bit of a frustrating flight, but finally we landed in Cape Town, and already then I think this sort of became very important to me. So I came as a lone PhD student and registrar or resident doctor, so doctor in training, to this big university hospital, Tygerberg Hospital, outside Cape Town in South Africa. And I came here to do, as I said, mostly clinical work. This is some pictures inside of the hospital. It's a university hospital that serves about 3 million inhabitants, shared in two with another university hospital. So a lot like you are very well aware of, many of you, I think, socially deprived population, a lot of morbidity. So when I rotated through this hospital as a clinician, I saw that, okay, this is where I want to do my research, because this is, you know, where the bad things happen. The mothers got severely sick, and I realized that if I can't build my research here, then I will never find out if we can find predictors and tests for these bad outcomes that we see here. So luckily, I met a friend. So this is back then Dr. Kathy Kluver. She also specialized in obstetrics and maternal medicine, just like myself. And she was also a PhD student at that time. And so none of us had any money, but we were very keen on continuing research in our field, because her PhD was also in preeclampsia, but she studied treatments to sort of slower the progression of disease in early onset preeclampsia. So together, we started to look for grants. And as you know, it's not easy. This is in Swedish because this is a Swedish grant. And in the beginning, you have to look for the smaller grants, because you will, like Bright said about his postdoc, you will never get an ERC grant if you don't have a track record, because then they can't trust that you've done anything. But these private funders, at least in Sweden, I know this looks very different over the world, and we still have lots of issues trying to secure larger fundings from South Africa. So a lot of our research funding is still coming from Sweden, Europe, UK. But this was a Swedish private funder, and sometimes they also accept applications from abroad. So look around for smaller grants. This grant was 250,000 Swedish kroner, which is 25,000, a little bit less than 25,000 euros or 25,000 US dollars. So it's not much, but it was something to get us started. So they could actually support us in starting to do MRI brain investigations for women with preeclampsia and start up our first biobank. So these first funders that support you, I think, are very important, because they can get you started. You can show independence, you can show that you have secured funding, and then you can go for the bigger grants. So I'm very much grateful to this foundation, and they continue to support me over the 5 years that you actually could apply for funding from them. So last year was my last year with funding from them. The next pillar here, vision. So this is a beautiful part of the country outside of Cape Town. It's called Himmel and Ard Valley, or Heaven and Earth Valley. We went here during our first year for a little weekend away. And already then, when I was still the PhD student, I started to look at what do I want to do afterwards. So I got stuck with a thesis by a researcher called Tilly van Veen from the Netherlands. She did her research in the US, and she discovered that women with preeclampsia had disturbances in their autoregulation of the blood flow in the brain, and that this might be something important why women get complications. So I contacted Tilly. She had already defended her thesis. She said, well, perhaps you can get in touch with my supervisor. Maybe he's willing to borrow you the equipment, but still we had almost no money. So I sent him an email. I thought he will never reply. But then he got back to me when we were here for the weekend and said, can you give me a call? So I called him, and it turned out he was South African defending his thesis in Sweden, and then he moved over to the US. And he was very excited to hear about this project. So he was very keen to support us, and he flew his postdoc over, or his master, Mary, and then Tilly from the Netherlands also came down. So we had a lovely lunch here, and Mary actually came with the equipment on the plane, and we managed to set up cerebral autoregulation studies in preeclampsia with borrowed equipment and very little funding. Here is the equipment and me measuring one of our patients who gave us permission to show you this picture. The next pillar here is support. So you can do a lot on your own, of course, but you also need support. In my first and lasting support, we still chat several times a week, even though when I'm in Sweden and she's in South Africa. So this is Kathy Kluver. And I think it's very important to find a peer. It's good enough. I mean, it's good to have a professor in your unit, but the professor has his or her own career and her own research program, and it might be hard to find a spot and create your own research program. So if you can find people who want to do the same thing as you want to do at other universities in other countries, and I think this is exactly what you're trying to achieve here, which I think is brilliant. Because if you find these people, you become so much stronger, and then you can work together, and you can find these grants, you can help each other, and sometimes one gets declined, the other one is lucky. And also you need support from your family, of course, because being a researcher is quite hard, and you have to spend a lot of, especially in the beginning, nights in front of the computer, meetings at awkward times over time zones, travels. So these are two girls who wanted to do ballet. This is the ballet dad, my husband, amongst all the other stay-at-home moms. So you also need, the support or other types of support that you need to create around yourself to be able to do this. And the little ones can actually also help you. So these are our first trial folders that we set up for our biobank that I got some help from my girls, Alice and Agnes, to set up. These are the girls when they finished play school with their favorite teacher. And then they got over to their grade, this is probably grade 4, I think. And now last time we were there, they were in grade 6. So time flies, and they also have created a life for themselves in Cape Town. So I think that's also a wonderful option. People sometimes think you need to stay in one place, but there is opportunities to create your own life schedule. And we spend 3 months a year in Cape Town. So the girls attend the school in Cape Town from January, February, March every year, and then they slip into their Swedish class when they get home. It requires some extra work, some administration, bureaucracy, but it has been working since 2016 for us at least. This is a picture from outside Gothenburg, and these are the girls again. So we moved from Falun, Uppsala region to Gothenburg, which is my hometown. And I think here also some important things happen. So these are pictures of people who have been important for me, again, for support when I came to Gothenburg. So I also think it's important to be clear about what you want. So when I came down to Gothenburg, I was a newly postdoc. I defended my thesis. I was a qualified obstetrician, but I came into a university hospital setting where most people go in and work 100% clinical. But I said I don't want to do that. I had some funding. I had a scholarship, so not fully salary, but a scholarship that could keep me sort of floating for the first year. And I said I have some of my own funding. I never want to work more than 50% clinical, and then I want to do research. So I brought some own funds, and I also had support from Bo Jakobsson here is one of our professors, and Henrik Hagberg. They really supported me in my endeavors for an academic career, and they allowed me to embark on a 50% post and also gave me some funds from the medical program to teach, so I could fill up to have a decent salary when I started. And Henrik Hagberg is also a great mentor from the preclinical side, because I knew I wanted to connect the preclinical and clinical side. And then Henrik also has been working like that as an obstetrician and welcomed me with open arms into his lab for me to set up a preclinical research group. So these people, you sort of have to try to find them and find the right people that want to support you, not only use you. And I think that's extremely important. So my research field was different. I had my own field within preeclampsia, always researching preterm birth, and Henrik neonatal brain injury. So having your own research agenda can also help, I think, to use that independence, to have your own research program forward, not to be in competition with an older professor, for example. And then again, back to independence. So I continue to push for funds. Sometimes it is too early to apply, sometimes it's not. So I think it's also worth trying. So in 2020 to 2023, I've had support as a starting grant for our Swedish Research Council. So I applied then already in 2019 when I had defended my thesis 1.5 years ago. And I was quite fresh off and didn't really have a lot of publications yet. But I sent in an application on my own, not with support from the research support office, which I now understand is of great help, and you should really use them. But I didn't really understand this by then. But this is my evaluation. I got the grant, but the panel still says that I had modest productivity. I hadn't really published much since I was setting up all these biobanks also in Sweden and South Africa. And for feasibility, they said, because this was a grant for this translational research with a new animal model. I had no publication from this animal model and not really any experience myself before from preclinical research in that way, mostly biomarkers. And they said it would be a massive challenge for her to set up this model. And also they said that statistical assistance seemed to be missing. So when reading this, I don't really understand why I got the grant, but I did, which I think was a pivotal for me. I mean, the first big grant that you get is really, I think, a game changer. That then for the next grant, people will see, well, you received this grant, so obviously you are able to do what you say that you do. So the feasibility really increases once you started to get these bigger grants. And then I got the post shortly after at the Wellenberg Center for Molecular and Translational Medicine. And that's really also, I think, quality mark. I don't know what you say, Bright, but it also helps you. If you say that you are hired here, the Wellenberg family and the Wellenberg funds are really well known, at least in Sweden, and I think partially also internationally. And that actually helps. Maybe it shouldn't so much, but it does. So this, I think, has also helped me forward. And most importantly, the Wellenberg Center got me half-time salary. So now I could actually have my own salary half-time working with research. And they also gave me funds to employ a postdoc in the lab that could build onto this animal model that I started from my Swedish Research Council grant. And then come resilience. So it sounds like this goes really well. But for all applications, as I said, there are rejections. So this is just recently. I applied for Future Research Leader, another Swedish organization, private organization. And I thought I had a good chance because I already had the ERC grant. But obviously, this research panel didn't really believe in my new ideas. So I didn't even pass on to the step for interview in this one. And then publishing, also very hard. And if you aim high enough, you will get rejected. If you get accepted in your first journal, you aim too low. So you will get all these rejection letters, and then you just sit down and rewrite the manuscript and go to the next one. So here is one from JAMA Network Open that rejected us. And here's one from BMC Medicine, also quite recently, that rejected us as well. So you just have to keep on. And this was almost the worst kind because I had nice feedback by reviewers, and then the editorial board member found the manuscript not to be up to publication threshold. So you have to pass a lot of steps to be able to get into this needle, this little space in these higher impact papers. And then you can also get other problems. I talked to you about the equipment, the transcranial cerebral Doppler equipment. We had this equipment for loan, then we managed to find some more funds. So we actually bought new equipment and we shipped that down to South Africa. And we thought this is gonna make our life so much easier. But we fought with one of the machines, I think, for 2 or 3 years before we got it started and functioning all right. And we've been in touch with the providers back and forth. So it's a lot of these, very boring things that go on behind the sidelines. But you just need to, I think you just need to have a vision and believe that we will solve this. Not that this is impossible. It's just another obstacle, and you just need to work your way through it or alongside of it or whatever it takes to get you to the goal. So all these four aspects together, I think that provides you with a pretty strong foundation to pursue your goal. It's still a lot of hard work. It is still a lot of times you think, why do I do this? Can I just transition to big pharma or something? But I think for me, it's the inspiration, and it's my utmost belief that I can make a difference, and also especially in pregnancy research. Nobody else will do it. The pharma companies are not interested. The problem is not it's too little money and also funding actually, which has been pretty hard in this area. So there are lack of researchers in this area, and that's sort of what has driven me, I think. And so a few years back, if you remember what the Swedish Research Council said about me the first time, 2019, 2020, this is just 2, 3 years later. Then all of a sudden, when I applied for a large clinical trial for a drug, I told you that Kathy Kluver ran clinical trials, so I sort of piggybacked on her a bit, and then we applied for this with me as head applicant. And then all of a sudden, they say I'm an experienced researcher, and this is 2, 3 years later. I had several grants, including, I guess, one of their own grants, and has proved to be able to conduct previous studies according to the proposed protocol. So as I said in the beginning, if you start getting grants, if you start producing, then the bigger funders will come to you and say, okay, this is feasible. So I think feasibility is almost as important as excellence of research. And then the ERC grant that Bright told you about, then this was then again 2 years later from the previous grant. And then I have an outstanding track record. So I think you think that this is never achievable and it's so far away in the future. But once you start getting your funding in, and once you're pushing these studies through, it's not too far away in time where you actually start to build a CV and a publication list. All right, so what has this ended up in? Just an overview of what we are doing. So I have a translational approach to my research with databases and biobanks that I told you about. We started up Proof in Cape Town before I defended my thesis, and then I have a sister study in Gothenburg called GoPro, where we try to explore preeclampsia. Why do women get sick? Can we detect that on beforehand? What's the pathophysiology behind this? What are the long-term outcomes? We built the rat model for preeclampsia and some in vitro stuff in our lab. We run randomized controlled trials in the hospital for prevention and treatment of preeclampsia, and I also continue to work with Uppsala. So I think that's also nice for those of you who have already defended your thesis. You don't have to say by 100% to go away to be independent research. You can also actually keep in touch with your group if that's a group that you like working with, and leverage from their knowledge and from what you've learned there. So I've continued to work with Uppsala in the Swedish registers, also producing important data. And this is an overview now of what my research group looks like. So we have one arm in Sweden, a preclinical arm and a clinical arm, and then we have a clinical arm in South Africa. So I think that was what I was planning to say, and I'm happy to take any questions, comments from you guys.
Fantastic, Lina. Fantastic. I think your journey has been inspirational. Well, I didn't want to ask question myself because I am the moderator, but as you spoke, many questions were running through my mind, but I will keep them. See if we don't get questions. I will ask them. But yeah, this evening you have presented what you call 5 pillars. And I think everyone has taken note of this. You need vision, you need motivation, you need independence, you need resilience, and you need support. And I think one of the thread that ran through your speech was the aspect of support. And I took note of that, and that so much resonate with what we are trying to describe here when it comes to collaboration. You say that research is not a lone journey. It's not something you go alone. You wouldn't arrive your destination, or you may even arrive frustrated if you do it that way. So you mentioned support from different spheres, your colleagues who are doing similar things with you, your friends, your family, because times will come when you. I noted it here. You said the journey has more times to cry than actually to laugh because of the disappointment you have. And so you need people who will provide that emotional aspect as well, but stay counting on support. There's something you said that to be a researcher is to be disappointed, and you have to learn to live with disappointment. Yes, for those who have been in this business, you know that the times of success are much more smaller than the times of failure.
Yes.
But failure is not that negative. It's not that negative if you understand that it is part of the game, because then it can help to really activate you to think what the problem is all about.
I really
All
agree
right.
with that, Bright. I forgot to say that in my presentation, but of course, the first time I applied for ERC, I was rejected. I thought, okay, no use in doing this again. But then the research grants office picked it up and say, no, this is fantastic. You were so close. And then, we did it again, changed a few things, and then next time I got it. So I think, again, support, somebody believes in you, but you also have to believe in yourself and push forward and, apply again.
Yeah, one thing you also mentioned that I want to emphasize is the issue of track record. Yes, I mentioned when we started that a PhD of mine who finished last year, and then she came with these ambitions, but she has not applied for a grant before. She has not won one, and this track record is just what I was referring from the beginning. That she is a building block. It's a building block. You need to start from somewhere, and then you begin the journey. So this track record requires this support you're talking about. You need them to make any progress, because no tree can make a forest. Okay, so look out for those who are of interest to you, who are working in your area, so that you can prepare yourself for some of the goals you set up for yourself. Research is not a bed of roses. It requires intentions. It requires certain mindset. All right, colleagues, I think you have heard it. It was quite simplistic, and there are lots of wisdom we can learn from here. If you ask Lina, she's not the only obstetrician in Sweden. She's not. I mean, there are many people perhaps who started with her who are not maybe at the same level, but there are certain things perhaps she has done that has really put her where she is today, and she has described them, how she has been able to navigate this. So it's something that I think every one of us can pick lessons to support our growth. And so for that, Lina, thank you very much. And I will open the floor until you finish speaking. I did not see any question on the chat box, but perhaps somebody has some questions you would like to ask. We have some minutes still. So we'll allow you to speak out. Please make it brief, because we would like to take as many people as possible. So I see Samuel Sandia, please.
Good, good evening, Prof. Good evening.
Hello.
Yeah, and thank you for your talk. It's really motivating. It's very, very motivating. I will tell you that I took my time to listen to you carefully, though I was getting the diction very fast. But of course, I took my time to listen to you carefully. And the 5 tips that you have mentioned are very critical for someone like us as we're growing in our career. And out of the 5, the the one at the center, I love I don't know if you actually make that model like that, or you decide to put independence at the center of the other uh, tips. I see it as a challenge, maybe for my side, okay. And I want to find out from you, from your experience, from your trajectory, even from the beginning up to the time you you grab your PhD. Was there any form of policy or a kind of organizational system or structure that you perceive that can distort your concept or your grip on independence as a concept for a tip to get to the ladder that you have now as a research
Mm.
leader? I want you to speak about that briefly. Thank you.
Of course, thank you, Samuel. And I think that's a very important question. I think maybe from the beginning you don't really realize that it's independence. I think as a PhD student, I was mostly quite disappointed because I felt so alone. My research area wasn't really something that the research group was the greatest focus. It was a little bit like I had a project that was on the sidelines. But gradually, I think I understood that, okay, this is really an area where a lot of research is needed because we know so little. And as a PhD student, that might be quite discomforting because you don't really have the support, you don't have the attention when you publish. People are so interested. But the advantages, I think, is that you can build a research career with your field. And if you have your field that is not inherited by your professor or your associate professor, or somebody in your region, then you are the most senior person quite quickly. So I think that's the advantage. And I think there are many roads to a research career, and this was my path. And I think for me, the independence by having a research area that was not really an area that many other people research, not in Sweden and actually not even globally, was fortunate for me because then I could have that as my ASP. Like this is something that is such a need in this area, and show them that I'm the one publishing most in this area, and become an expert pretty quickly. I don't know if that answered your question.
Right, I think so. Any other person? Well, while Pulaski decided, Lina, let me ask one of the questions I had. Have you envisaged or thought how your career would be if you had not gone to South Africa?
I would not be where I am today. So I think as a researcher, it's extremely important to explore other research groups, other countries, gain experience from somewhere else. For me, it was also about the field. I couldn't build my cohorts in Sweden with this research focus of the maternal brain in preeclampsia because we deliver the women too quickly enough, not for them to have complications. So it's for me, it was imperative to go to somewhere where the research needed to be done. And I think that is something that I've stated in my applications, I don't know how many times. And that even got me an ERC grant with South Africa as one of the 3 sort of research tracks. So for me, I think it was extremely important. I would not have had my research program that I have today if I didn't go to South Africa, definitely. And I think more,
Uh,
I mean, for you who live in sort of on the other side, live with women that get these complications or other diseases, sometimes you think, at least that's my impression when I came to South Africa, my colleagues thought we knew better, but we don't. So I'm very impressed by my colleagues at Tigerberg, and I'm not as good of a doctor as they are with the patients because they see so much disease. So I think it's you sit on a treasure if you sit on a site where there is a lot of morbidity. I mean, it's unfortunate for the population, but I think you should leverage that as a strength if you're looking for collaborators. And if it's hard to find funding where you are, there are strong funders, for example, the European Union. And if you can team up with somebody, it's not like somebody coming down and or creating their own research on your on your shoulders, but if you can team up with global partners and create your own research group and research team at your hospital, I think your hospital has so much to offer, almost what is actually needed to get that grant, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that is fantastic. And as you know, Sweden has a strong policy on going abroad after your PhD.
Mm.
And there is a disadvantage when you finish your PhD in Sweden, unless there are issues that wouldn't let you to move out. There is a very big disadvantage in Sweden to grow in your career if you finish your PhD and you don't move out.
Yes, that's very true. You're almost expected to have done some international work if you're going for the bigger grants, and I think that's the case in many countries.
Yeah, that is the case. I would say in many European countries. Maybe not so in certain other places where, because in Sweden as well, they're not just requiring you to go abroad, but they also provide the facilities. There are some grants that allow you to go abroad, and there are some grants that actually bring you back in Sweden.
Yes, and there are also grants to bring excellent researcher from abroad to Sweden to do some commercial for Sweden, and that people can apply for who wants to come to Sweden for a postdoc, for example.
So, colleagues, today we are looking at North-South collaboration, emphasizing the need for international collaboration, which is important. And from what Lina said, going to South Africa was very critical for her to be where she is today. So it's something that we want you to think about when you are building your career. All right, I have two hands, and perhaps after that we'll close this chapter. Awodi Ibrahim, please unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Boy. Good evening, colleagues. It's a wonderful presentation by Dr. Lina. It's so impactful, and the presentation was quite inspiring. I just want to ask, I'm a social scientist, not a core scientist. So I want to ask if there are collaboration in the aspect of maybe like data management or information management, where we can collaborate too, so that we can have more exposure to them. At the same time, where there way that we can be more exposed to grant proposal in that regards too. Thank you.
Sorry, could you repeat that question? You disappeared a bit for me.
Okay. Can you hear me? I'm audible?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, I said I'm a social scientist.
Yes.
So I really enjoyed the presentation. It's quite inspiring. Out of the five model that you explained is quite very interesting. So I said, is there any way that we can collaborate in the area of data management where we can collaborate? And at the same time, if there are ways that we can be guided for grant writing or grant proposal in that regards to be more exposed in that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Awodi. Sorry, I didn't catch it the first time. So my research group, and I think all research groups, are always looking for bright collaborators. I mean, without our, you have to have tight relationships with the ones you work with to be able to succeed since it's such hard work. So if you're interested in my field, or if you're interested in other fields, I would be happy to pass you on to the right people. So feel free to send me an email. And with your CV or what you want to do, I'm always happy to try to help if you have ideas and of your path forward. So definitely.
All right. Yeah, I have Rukaya, and before I come to you, Rukaya, I have to say, um, yeah, please explore the opportunities. But I have to tell you that as you're doing it, there are 1,000 people who are doing the same. I get many emails, people who are looking for collaboration. It's not everything I reply to, because if somebody who is doing accountancy, for instance, is writing me, he wants to do postdoc in my group, I don't know what to say, because I think this person has not evaluated what he's doing properly to know that this is not my field. So what I was saying before, there are building blocks. You need to understand, you need to be intentional. I think one of the things Lina also mentioned is the issue of timing. Make sure you go at the right time. Don't go too early and don't go too late. So evaluate yourself properly. Even when you're seeking for collaboration, make sure you are at the right time to because collaboration is not just to be spoon-fed. You also have to bring something to the table to
I think that's that's very clever of you, Bright. And I think it's what I get impressed by when I hire people is that if I have a post open and people apply, and people who are having the right skills, of course, that's very important, but also read up on our research and can tell me why they want to join our group and what they can bring into the group. I think that's very important questions, and also to ask yourself. Of course, everybody wants a job and a career, but you, like Bright say, you have to bring something to the group, and what is that? And if you can frame that and come with the right skills, I think that makes it easier to stand out as well.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, Rukaya, it's your turn, and you will be the last one we'll go before we go to the breakout sessions. Yes, please.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. And good afternoon, Dr. Lina. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Even though I joined the meeting late, but my question about the collaboration, like we, the early career researchers, at times you find it difficult to find a collaborator because you don't have like a track record now, like some work you did, some collaborators will look at your past record. So like we, the early career researchers that we are trying to build our track record now. What advice do you have for people like we? I'm a PhD student now. This is my third year in my PhD. And I work as a research fellow in the academic environment. So like I have been trying to find some collaborators. Sometimes I don't get response, but I don't know, maybe I don't follow the right way. But what advice do you have for me? Thank you.
Okay. So I touched upon that a little bit in the beginning of my presentation, and I think independence needs to come in quite early. You need to look for the small seed funds. Look for something very small that can realize your first project as a first author. Something that is realistic, like Bright said, with building blocks. It's usually just enough with a small amount, or if you can do something, within your current post. And then I think, like Bright also touched upon, emailing out to people that you don't know you is usually not a good option if it's not a post open. Bright gets a lot of these emails. I also get a lot of emails from people, and we can't really, of course, help everybody with a post that are interested. So I think rather, like I did when I was still a PhD student, I went to a conference, and then I went to this really interesting seminar, and then I went to the podium and I talked to the speakers after they finished. He couldn't help me, but he actually referred me to an organization that I'm still within, which was called CoLab. It's a collaborative research organization for preeclampsia. And then they directed me to a Chilean researcher that was interested in the same field as I was. And we have published together quite a lot since then. So I think finding your pathways and like I said before, come with something more than just like a letter and a CV that is not in the field of the group who you're contacting, or very hard for them to tell what you're going to bring into the group. So come with something on your own, and find the right partners where you both can leverage from a collaboration. I think that would be my strongest advice in your early career.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lina. I think this is very important. There is an old saying that charity begins at home. It still relates to what we do today. Yeah, I mentioned. Yeah, I continue to use as an example my PhD student who contacted me last week. So what happened at the end of the meeting I had with her was I told her, don't apply for a grant until next year. Don't apply. And I have my reasons I gave her, and she understood it. Because one of the things you need to do is to understand how these things work out. It's not enough to be excited to do it, but you know, the issue of timing, you have to understand, am I there? If I apply this, what does it really mean? Have I built something that is impressive enough? For instance, you mentioned having maybe a grant where you're the first author. If all the first author papers you have had are during your PhD, and then you just maybe the 50th, the 60th in many authors, then these things are very competitive. These are very competitive. There are some people who have been looking towards this for many years. They have been building it. And so you need time to organize yourself. And that also goes for collaboration. Why I mentioned charity begins at home, colleagues, is that, for instance, in this year, what we have done is to create opportunity for people to collaborate within the space we have in Africa. You know, you have people from Mozambique who are working in the same collaborative research group with people from South Africa, Nigeria, Cameroon. And so this is a place where you begin to understand what a collaboration is. Begin to develop yourself, begin to produce papers, and then you can take it up from there. So you don't just start from somewhere and then you jump into the air. It doesn't work like that, you know, because if you send me an email, for instance, I will check out who you are, what you have done. Do you really fit what I'm doing? Do you have the skills? Do you have the experience? If those are question marks, then it's very unlikely that I'll be interested in bringing you in. And that is one. The second thing is that whom you contact is very important. Who you contact is very important. So if you have somebody who just finished his postdoc, he's still growing, is different from somebody who is a professor. Professor becomes more busy with maybe administrative things, other things, and perhaps he may be looking for those who are more independent, you know, who can manage certain things around this group. If you contact such people and you are just a beginner, then they have to think about it. If I bring this person, it's going to be a big burden for me to support, and I do not have that much time. So there are many things that really are important here that you have to consider when you are making the approach. But my key point here to contribute to what Lina is saying is take your time to build that charity from home, and then you begin to grow going abroad. All right. Colleagues, I think it has been a fantastic evening as always, and we are really happy to hear from you, Lina. This is really lots of wisdom you have shared this evening, and very important that you can present everything from what has happened to you and what you have learned. We are grateful. As I mentioned to you, you don't need to wait for us. We are going to go to the breakout sessions now. But ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking Lina for this opportunity. And please don't say no. If the time comes again, they would like to bring you on board again to share some aspect. We'll really be happy to have you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you so much for the invite and such an inspiring group. Good luck, everybody, and yeah, and have a good last hour with chatting.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, colleagues. Yes, so I have created the groups. There are 12 groups now, okay? as usual, and I will open it. If you are not in any group, you don't know your group, or you have not joined any group before, please indicate that in the chat box when we open these breakout sessions. But please join your group. Those who know their groups, who have a group, join your groups now. Choose your group and join. If you don't know if you don't know your group, or you don't have any group, just hang on there, and then we'll find a way to send you. If you have a group and you don't know how to join your group, or you have any technical issue, just put your group number to your name, and we'll help you to join the group. So I will give you 45 minutes, and we'll bring you back after that. Now I open the breakout sessions, and then you can join. See you in 45 minutes. All right, colleagues, welcome back from your breakout sessions of your CROGs. I have to say there are groups of people that have come that we need to address. There are those who have just joined for the first time today. The collaborative research groups, we formed them beginning of the year, and we mandated them to work on their collaboration, their projects together. And our expectation is that that has been going on. Not all the groups are on the same level for different reasons, but our expectations are that the groups are working together and things are moving well. But yeah, we refrained from interfering in the group activities, because our goal is that you would on your own build a collaboration that you desire. So we do not know where each group is, even though we have also an open door to say any group that wants to talk to us, wants to interact, and maybe we have issues, please invite us in. So some groups are still far behind, and some of the new members, some of those who joined today, have gone to those groups. Well, our goal is that you remain in the group you are. So those members that attended in those groups, please link them up with your WhatsApp group, and see how you can integrate them into what you're already doing. Please, this is very crucial. And as you heard this evening from the speaker, careers are not built by chance. They are not built by just mere good luck. They are not built just by not built just by only prayers. No. You have to play an active part to it. And that is what we want to get you to. And somebody is asking, can you be in more than one group? No, you can't be in more than one group. You have to be in just one group. Okay. So please, we encourage all the groups. There are some groups that are already doing fantastic things. Some have submitted papers already that shows how hardworking they are, and their intention to make their groups work. We want to hear that from all the groups, so that at the end of the year, when we're evaluating this, we'll be able to show that all the groups have made progress. That is the first I wanted to say. The second thing is, I don't know the project you're working in your group. Please keep it going. Keep it going. Carry everybody along, because the survey we send out, which I will talk about now, tries to capture different aspects of your group, even leadership in the group. and how things are going on in the group. So please carry everybody along. Let everybody's voice be heard. Yeah, let everybody contribute to what is happening in the group. The final thing is that this month will be end of this month. We'll be sending out the questionnaire, and that is about a week from today when the month ends. We'll be sending out our regular questionnaire, the survey, to evaluate how things have gone in your groups during the month of July and August. During the month of July and August. That questionnaire is completed with your collaborative research group ID. So each person that belongs to a collaborative research group has an ID. And you need that ID to be able to complete that questionnaire. In fact, you need two things that are crucial. One is that you need to know the group you belong, and then you need to have the ID to complete it. So for those who are just joining, when you go back to your WhatsApp group, please let the leader know that you don't have an ID. If you don't have an ID, that you don't have an ID, then they will let us know so that we can include you. Okay? During the week anyway, we're going to also circulate the IDs for all the groups so that the groups will check the list and see who is not there. Please make indication of yourself when that list starts going around so that we can include you. The questionnaire, the survey we undertake to follow up is very crucial for us because we want to understand how things have gone, we want to understand where things have not gone well, we want to use those information to improve next year. All right, so the collaborative research group is very important for us this year as we take this journey through this year and see how this program, this seminar series for this year has gone. Okay, so the next seminar is coming up next month. All right. Sorry, I didn't put the date here, but the date, you will get the flyer soon. 28th of September. 28th of September. It's been presented by Professor Mahmoud Maina. Yeah, we just listened to Lina this evening, and Lina mentioned the importance of her research. I'm going to get the European Research Council starting grant. That is fantastic. Professor Mahmoud also got this prestigious grant, Wellcome Trust Career Development Grant. And I think he is the second African that, I think, as far as I knew, second African that has ever received such a grant, this particular grant. And that showcases the importance of what he's doing. But like Lina was saying this evening, it's important to know what collaboration has done to achieving these milestones. So he has agreed that he will come to also give us his own experience, going back home to build Africa's first open access iPSC biobank. All right? When local connections meet global collaboration. When local connections meet global collaboration. Many of us here are asking, how can I connect? How can I connect? This evening, you're able to see it. It's not by chance. It's not by luck. There is an intention around it. So Lina connected from Sweden to South Africa, and Prof. Mahmoud Maina is going to demonstrate how you can connect from the local to the global. For those who are asking, how can I connect? And I hope you will not miss this. So let's come and do this. All right, the other thing I want to remind you is, this is very important. I don't know how many of you who have received, we have already several tens of universities that have applied across Africa. Don't let your university be left behind. This is a fantastic opportunity for your university to develop 5 candidates who are equipped. The goal is that they will go back to their institutions and then support others there. So it's throughout next year, we are going to train and mentor 250 African class, 5 candidates from 50 universities. 10 of those universities will come from each region in Africa. So please, this is not an individual application, it's an institutional application. It means that the institution needs to appoint somebody to make the application for them. Okay, the institution needs to appoint somebody to make the application for them. So inform the leaders of your institution, the management of your institution, to take advantage of this. It's only about 2 weeks from now before the deadline. We hope that your institution. Yeah, I have to say that this is not only university. There are organizations and institutions that are doing also research capacity things, and they would like to develop the capacity of their staff. They're all welcome to apply. All right, this is the top one. Our conference, Beyond Boundaries, still speaking about collaboration. And then we want to lay it bare in November when our conference comes up. So registration is open, and I encourage you to register. We're just showcasing the first keynote speaker, Dr. David Mikler, who will be talking about intercontinental collaboration in education and research, the joys and pains of a mutual need. He's an Australian. He's having various interests and activities in Africa. He's the director of the Australia Africa University Network, or co-chair of that network. So a lot of things he is doing through the Australian government in Africa, and he has agreed to come to share some of those. And I think there are opportunities that lie within this. And I encourage you, please register, encourage your colleagues to register. Let's come together to drive our career and collaboration forward. So the abstract is still open, and the deadline is the 1st of August. So please run to meet the deadline. Okay. And of course, ASFI Research Journal. If you have paper to submit, the journal is there, and striving to publish excellently. All right. Thank you, colleagues, for this evening, and I hope that you're coming this evening. You have picked one thing at least that will support your career. I wish you a wonderful evening and a great week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Prof. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Stay blessed.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, Prof.
Good night.
Well, thank you so much for good job. Well done.
Right, hello.
experience.